When I was in school, like Ancient of Days, I was introduced to a famous poet. The poem that we all memorized began like this. Listen, my children, and you shall hear of the midnight ride of Paul Revere. And it went on to one if by land and two if by sea, and I on the opposite shore will be. I see a lot of you nodding. We know this poem. I liked it because it rhymed. It was easy to memorize because it had a certain meter, and it worked pretty well together. And I never really thought about it beyond that. It was a poem written by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, and he actually wrote more than that poem, shocking as it may be. He wrote during the Civil War, which for our country obviously was a time of great trial, and he wrote also during a time when he had quite a bit of family sorrow. His second wife died rather unexpectedly in a very bizarre freak accident where she was doing something with a candle and lit herself on fire, all before Christmas, in the year of the Civil War. And that experience led him to pen these words to a Christmas carol that I think most of us know. I heard the bells on Christmas Day, their old familiar carols play, and mild and sweet their songs repeat, of peace on earth, goodwill to men. And in despair I bowed my head. There is no peace on earth, I said, for hate is strong and mocks the song of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then rang the bells more loud and deep. God is not dead, nor doth he sleep. The wrong shall fail, the right prevail, with peace on earth, goodwill to men. Then ringing, singing on its way, the world revolved from night to day. A voice, a chime, a chant sublime of peace on earth, goodwill to men. Who knew that the person who wrote The Midnight Ride of Paul Revere was such a theologian as that? And who could imagine at the time of the Civil War that in this year we would need to hear those words again? The Civil War is a long way off, and I know there's nobody in this room that has firsthand memory. I don't even think there's anybody in this room that has a credible story handed down through their family tree. We're rather removed from that. And yet, we are living in a time of quite a bit of political strife, and the discourse is not friendly. And families are pitted against families, and people can't even seem to come to the dinner table together and be kind. And I know this because it's happening in my own family. So if it's happening in my family, I'm not alone. We are having trouble culturally speaking kindly to each other. And I know sometimes it looks hard. Sometimes I feel that sadness that is about despair and grief. And I also know it is the heart of the Christian message to remember that the light came. There was a man sent by God, right? We heard the beginning of the Gospel of John tonight. We heard the very beginning of the light coming to dwell within us. And we all stopped today, and actually last night and today, to just stand still in that certainty and in that happiness and remember that the light is here, it is in our community, it is in us, and it shines whenever we pay attention to it. So I invite you today to carry in the back of your head a little bit of that poem about the bells. Because although it says, and in despair I bowed my head, there is no peace on earth, I said, it ends with the world turning from night to day, because it ends on that note that reminds us of the core of our Christian values. We do believe in the light. We do act out of the place of peace on earth, goodwill to all people. And we count on things like bells and poems and all the things of artists to help us remember that. Maybe we could count on each other a little bit too. Merry Christmas, everybody.